let's talk about some of the most ridiculous interactions I've experienced since being a high school teacher. We'll start with probably the most mild one of these three at least. So I'm a mother of two. I've got a 5-year-old and a 1.5-year-old. And when I was pregnant with my 1.5-year-old, it was beginning of the school year. She was supposed to be like a March baby. So I, at some point, wanted to let my students know, like, hey, because I'm a required class for graduation, I have them all year long. So I want to be like, hey guys, just so you know, like, I am pregnant. You will at some point be with a long-term sub to finish out the year. And when I said I'm pregnant, a kid stands up and shouts, "Who's the father?" I didn't say anything, I just laughed because it was pretty early in the year, but, you know, my sarcastic self now, I really wish I would have just said, "Your dad." Probably would have been the wrong move, but oh. So this next one is actually from my very first year of teaching. So imagine me, fresh, 21-year-old, straight out of college, first teaching job ever, put in charge of a bunch of high school kids. They obviously did not respect me all that much, right? Half of them still don't. But there's this group of boys, these three. If you say one of their names, the other two always follow. Like, all the staff still remembers blank, blank, blank. So they were kind of notorious for hating school. You just knew that they're like, they do not care, which, whatever, to each their own. And it just got to the point in the year where I was sick of like, hey, I know y'all don't care, you're gonna drop out. Their plan was to be blank lords, selling things that make you a blank lord. And one day I was just like, I've had enough, because like, yes, you don't care, other kids around you are trying to pay attention and you won't stop talking. And they were talking about like boxing and selling illegal things and like all this kind of stuff. And I went up to them and I said, hey, like, can you guys like please stop, this conversation is not helpful, like blah blah blah. This sassy boy turns to me and just goes, "You wish your life was like ours." And this is where I started to push back a little bit and maybe push the boundaries a little bit. And I just said, in front of the whole class, said, actually, every time I listen to you talk, I can feel myself losing IQ points. So no, I don't want to be like you. And the last one is more recent. So I'm going into my 8th year right now. And I had students who I said, hey, like, move around. I'll circulate, check on you guys as you work in other locations. So they're like, yeah, we're going to work in the library. These boys work in the library. Again, a group of boys that like never actually, sorry, that was gross probably, that like never actually work or always messing around, yada yada, whatever. So I get an email from the librarian who says, hey, those boys that were working in here left behind a bunch of condoms on this seat. And I'm like, awesome. So it's like, now it's like, do I say something, do I not say something? So I didn't like get them in trouble necessarily. I just went up to them to kind of like poke fun at them, because there's groups of kids where like, you can kind of get sarcastic and smart alecky with, and it's not going to be much of an issue, especially these kids, because it's just those are those kids in that class. But I went up to them and I said, hey, like, what's the deal with condoms being left in the library? And of course they're like, what? No, we don't know anything about that. And I'm like, well, the librarian said you were the only kids in there, and it was literally right where you were sitting. I'm like, no, we don't know, those aren't ours. And one of them starts blaming the other kid. So I just look at them and I go, you know what? I don't care whose they are. I'm just really glad you guys are being safe and not procreating at the ripe age of 16, because they were not the ones that would probably handle it that well if that's the case. But high school, always fun and interesting, I guess.